Hi everyone. For today's Titanic themed book review, we're going to be revisiting one of our authors, Tom McCluskey, and another one of his books. This time it is Anatomy of the Titanic. Now, a couple of weeks back we had a look at one of Tom McCluskey's earlier books, this one, Ships of Harland and Wolff. There we go. And today's book, The Anatomy of the Titanic, was published at roughly the same time, around 1998, which was just as Titanic mania was about to hit with the release of James Cameron's blockbuster movie. And as I mentioned in the previous Tom McCluskey book review, he served as a technical advisor on that movie, and he's also worked in Harland and Wolff. Now, with Anatomy of the Titanic, this book is fantastic because it goes deck by deck and looks at how the Titanic was put together. And it literally is what the title says. It is the anatomy of this ship. We are given an introduction into how the construction came to be. There is an ample amount of information photographically as well as with diagrams showing the layout of the ship, showing how it was all put together and the fittings inside. It's a beautifully illustrated book, and you can see in the supplements up here that many photos are full page, others take up half a page, and there's text accompanying all elements of not only the photos but also the themes, the fit out, the machinery, the different types of machinery, the accommodations, different types of accommodations. And it's for a relatively smallish book. I mean, it's a beautiful hardcover book, but as you can see, it's not that thick. You certainly can't knock somebody out with it. But for its dimensions, it packs a lot of information and lots of beautiful black and white photos. The photos are reproduced fantastically. Everything is nice and clear and crisp. So for anyone, potentially any model makers who are looking for details, this book is a great reference because all the photos are wonderfully reproduced. There are diagrams and plans in here. There is one set of deck-by-deck plans, but it's all published on the one page, so it's a little bit small. But as we go through deck-by-deck in the various chapters, there are other enlarged and exploded plan views as well. What would probably interest readers now with this book is the color section, which is in the middle of this book, and it is actually composed of several concept drawings, so alternative ideas for the style of the first class staircase, the accommodation paneling, all these interior details, and you can see a few of them up here. They are reproduced wonderfully and in color. According to Tom McCluskey in this book, and this is the first I've heard of it, so I'm not sure if it has been verified by anyone else, but according to him in this book, these concept drawings originated for the P&O ships, the Multan and the Malaga, and then were basically taken and adapted to be used for other ships in Harland and Wolff. And in this instance, they were adapted for the Titanic, or rather, more accurately, for the Olympic class. This is what was mentioned in the book. Again, it's not something that I've heard spoken about often, so feel free to dig into this further should you be so inclined. But back to the concept drawings. So they are reproduced in lovely color, and you can see some of the different styles and different ideas that were put forward and ultimately rejected. This book is a victim of its age. It was published in 1998, so when we didn't have as much knowledge as we now have, particularly about some of the interiors of the ship, and certainly this is before CGI became photorealistic, and you can see with an illustrated visual history of the Titanic, that fantastic book that came out last year, just how much our knowledge and our ability to replicate the Titanic in color has come since this book was published. Also, at the same time, it is not an in-depth nuts and bolts study, such as the 2-volume Ship Magnificent series by Bruce Beveridge. But again, having said that, it does exactly what the title says. This book is the anatomy of the Titanic. This book does look at the construction of the ship, how it was put together, how it worked, how it ran, and what on earth was on each deck. What accommodations were on each deck? Where did the machinery fit in on the ship? How did it all work together? What style of fittings were put in each of the first-class cabins? Was it Adams style, Regency style? So all this information is packed into this book, and for that it does deserve a 4 captain's hats. Likewise, given its age, it would also be relatively cheap for those who are interested in the anatomy of the Titanic. So if you have an interest in the Titanic and the hefty price tag of something such as the Ship Magnificent volume set is just out of your reach, this is a fantastic book to get. Likewise, as I mentioned earlier, if you're a model maker, there's a lot of beautiful photos within this book that are crisply replicated. That's fantastic for references, as well as the diagrams that are included, deck plans and deck-by-deck layouts. So for all of that, this book does deserve a 4 captain's hats. It's a useful reference for anyone interested in the Titanic. So there you have it, Tom McCluskey's Anatomy of the Titanic. And if there are any other books about everyone's favorite tragic 4-funneled liner, or any other ocean liners or shipwrecks, please let me know in the comments below, and certainly if I have books of them in my library, then I will absolutely review them for you. So until next time, enjoy and happy reading, everyone.